You get a notification on your phone once it starts. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, families and friends, welcome to another episode 33 of the Speak Easy. This episode is a little bit different because we want to hear how you feel about when you hear certain subjects called out. And we're going to give you our honest truth. I wouldn't even call what we're saying opinion tonight, because it seems like the rest of the world has always an opinion for how we should feel, how we should think, what we should do. But tonight, you're going to hear from a panel of 5. So introducing our normal people as always, we're going to introduce, of course, CJ. CJ, say what's good.
Good people, loyals. Thank you for joining us this evening.
Absolutely. Returning with us again is the lovely Miss Bree. Miss Bree, talk to us.
Hey, fam.
All right. And returning also as well, Mr. JD, John Amoon. Talk to us.
What's good, family? Many blessings.
I love it. And last but not least, new special guest tonight joining us, Mr. Jonathan Denney. Mr. Denney, talk to us. What's good?
What's going on, people? Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. You know, somebody said Kimberly. Denney already said Bree, she love that color. So you already got a fan. She let her color you.
What's up, Kim? Kim is a loyal. Appreciate that.
Y'all, yesterday, verdict came out. Rest in peace to our queen, Breonna Taylor. Felt like she did pass twice because of the conviction that came out. We shouldn't be surprised, but I'm still surprised. I'm not going to lie. So, Facebook loyals, family and friends, when you hear the name Breonna Taylor, Bree, what do you think when you hear that name?
I think that's me. She's me. I mean, we have the same name, spelled differently, but
Right.
I have a very special connection to her and her story. I mean, that so easily could have been me.
Right.
But it could have been any of us.
Right.
And the amount of passion that I feel like her name brings is so important into the mood of the country right now. And especially for me, her story makes me angry.
Right. Right.
Is the best way I can put it. I'm sad. I'm angry most of all.
Mm-hmm.
Because essentially what Kentucky did yesterday, which shouldn't be any surprise to anybody. We knew it was coming.
Right.
They were boarding up downtown. We all knew.
Right.
We knew.
Mm-hmm.
But more than, anything in recent times, it's legal to murder whoever you want if you got a badge.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It's fine. It's totally justified in self-defense to shoot a sleeping woman who you were not even in the right place. Be there. So mostly how it makes me feel is angry. That's the prime emotion that I am currently feeling is anger.
Mr. Jonathan Denney, when you hear the name Breonna Taylor, how do you feel?
I feel that's another black life lost. Makes me wonder how many other Breonna Taylors are there out there that we don't know about.
Right.
Because so much is coming to light, almost every day. So it makes me wonder how many of them are actually out there. How many more situations are out there?
Right.
Not to mention, just the as Breonna said, her story. It's upsetting. It's trash.
Yes,
the way they try to find every single excuse to not, to justify what they did, from his saying that he operated with integrity and all that. But not once did an apology actually come out there. Not once did they say,
exactly.
I'm sorry, your life was lost.
Right.
None of that.
Right. CJ, Breonna Taylor, what do you hear?
when I hear Breonna Taylor, the first word that comes to my mind is injustice.
Right.
A wall, a damn wall, got justice
Jesus.
before Breonna Taylor. The
Jesus.
police officer got charged for the shots that missed her body.
Right.
He got charged for the
Irony.
bullets that missed her, not the ones that went in her.
Right.
The next thing I think of, the next person I think of is Emmett Till. 65 years to the day, the killers, the murderers of Emmett Till got off. An all-white jury let them off, and then 65 years later, a grand jury lets these three guys off.
Right.
They paid her family $12 million, which compared to what others have gotten paid, they should be wiping their ass with those $12 million.
Yep.
Whew.
And no, not warrants. And they have the nerve to say that the police officer was justified in what they did.
Yep.
So
Right.
I say all of that to circle back. I mean, even they went as far as to try to make the boyfriend look bad. Then they tried to get the ex-boyfriend to cooperate on some kind of stuff. I mean, they went out of their way to slander her instead of just giving her justice. So I said all that to come back to say injustice is what I hear. And for her to be the queen she was, that's tragic. That's the word that comes to my mind. But that's what I...
JD, you hear Breonna Taylor. What do you think?
Privilege. Privilege. I hear nothing but privilege. So when I heard the news, I was at work, and I normally try to separate work from personal feelings, but this situation in particular, it hit a lot closer for me because I have a daughter, and she means the world to me. I would run through a brick wall for her. And to hear the police officer being charged for basically a petty crime. I know people that have been locked up for less worse and charged for more, serving more time than a police officer that is the personification of the law, if we're looking at it that way. So they know what they should or should not do, but they know the boundaries. So hearing this, it makes me feel so much, but I know that if I continue to stay emotional, I will not think rationally to find ways to educate, to follow three things that I think that every Black person should be on this wave when it comes to: you have to mobilize, you have to organize, and you have to plan. We have to find a structure for us to come together that is outside of a political system that upholds a system that was not built for us. So overall, I am furious, but since I have no power, I can't allow my emotions to take over, and I have to be strategic in how I move from this point forward. But like I said, it hit very personally for me. I just see my daughter in the women that have been slaughtered, and I see myself in the men that have been slaughtered. I see my wife in the women that have been slaughtered as well. So I don't know. I'm feeling kind of heavy right now. So
I feel that because when I think about her, I think about all of you. I think about all the Black people that I've come in contact with in my life. Everybody that I've met up to this day, from the time I was a child to right now. And I'm not exaggerating. That's what I think of each of you. Because as Breonna said, Bree said, as each of you said, it could have been any one of us. And because it could have been any one of us, I think of if you all were standing over my casket or me over your casket, I'd be sobbing. I would be angry because of the fact of a wall got more justice than you did. That your death, even though the memory is going to live on in me, the people that did it got nothing. I'll think of the day when the AG stood before and said, I know it's a hard day for a black man, but I feel like he didn't do anything to help. I'll think of the day that I went and I talked to somebody and that person tried to again justify the boyfriend and his actions, tried to justify her and say she was caught up in drugs and all these other things, and somebody's life is lost. And I'm having to defend somebody that I personally don't know, but I see in each one of us every day. An expiring black person whose life was cut short because someone, I don't even say it was an error, just somebody with hate in their heart decided to just take it out on somebody's house. And how many times have we seen that in the streets? And the whole time the AG is not talking about the life of Breonna Taylor, but he's talking about if you loot, if you riot, and if you burn, this is what we gonna do to you. That's what I watched on TV. That's what I saw when I was on my lunch break at work. And that's what made me upset. So shout out to my job that I appreciate the Diversity and Inclusion Council that we have, that we gathered together and talked it out. Because most jobs won't do that. Most jobs don't offer you self-care and a self space to talk about things like this when they happen. So that's what I'm going to say. I don't want Breonna Taylor's life that she had to be in vain. I hope people find information about her life that was loving and caring and begin to post that. I hope people find things about her life that was awesome and begin to share that around the world. Because with them cops, we ain't never gonna see that. With that AG, we ain't never gonna see that because he's trying to get under Mitch McConnell. That's a whole other story. That's what I think about. I think about Breonna Taylor today. I think about life. That you better live it while you have it because you don't know when they're gonna try to take it.
You know what hurts me? What hurts me the most is that, like, it's a black woman, man, a queen, and it's like we didn't protect her. And
well, her boyfriend was trying.
And he did know what I'm saying. Like, he definitely did his thing, bro. Like he did with any brother did. But I'm just talking about like on a whole.
Right.
Right.
This wouldn't happen to no other people but us. And we sit back and we kind of just like we let it happen. It just now it hits different now when a black woman says, "I don't feel protected."
Right.
Can't blame you.
It feels so much different.
What do we like before this? Yeah, I could have said something, but what am I? What can I say? What can anyone say? Like,
right.
What you gonna do?
That's a good point, CJ. Because if she goes to her job and she says, "I don't feel protected," if she goes and does anything and she says she don't feel protected, like what can we do? What can we do? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. What can you do in a system that isn't built to defend you?
Right. Right.
What can you do in a system where when you're defending yourself justifiably,
right,
you're still in the wrong?
Right.
I mean, on a completely like separate note, look at the women who have defended themselves against their attackers and are now in prison.
Right.
They're in jail because they defended their attackers.
Ms. Brown.
These women who are victims of sex trafficking or rape or whatever, and they're in jail. You can't defend yourself. There's no help in a system that's broken. The system worked exactly as it was built to work. The system did what the creators of it meant it to do. It worked for all intents and purposes.
That's true.
Yep.
So how do we fight that?
Y'all, that's a good question. Y'all can answer that. How do we fight it? What do we do? Do we just lay down and just go to sleep and hope to wake up the next morning? Because what I saw from this, before we answer this, what I saw from this, and correct me if I'm wrong, what I saw was the fact of if any of us have anything on us as any kind of warrant or any kind of arrest or any kind of record, then somebody can bust into my house utilizing that record that I possibly have and kill me. So what do I do? Because that's what comes up every time one of our brothers and sisters die, their arrest record. Their criminal history. It always comes up as if they deserved what they got.
Or who they were associated with.
Right, or who they are associated with. That always comes up. So what do we do? Because I associated with somebody, now all of a sudden I'm guilty by association to where my life is not worth it. What do we do, y'all?
You're guilty by association when you came out the womb, my brother.
What do we do? I'm at a loss for words tonight because normally I would try to formulate some kind of plan or answer. That's how my mind thinks. But this one blew my mind because I just knew the conviction wouldn't be that. I just knew somebody would be arrested for the killing. But no, the charge is because you shot into an apartment. I did not see that coming.
Here's the thing, Ash. You're always preaching unity and love. And I kind of feel like there's a part of me that completely agrees with you and wants that, right? That's the ideal. That's utopia.
Right.
Peace and love.
Right.
But aren't we tired?
Right.
Because I'm tired.
Come on.
I'm tired of letting this happen. I'm tired of sitting back and being the victim. I don't want to be a victim. I'm done. Just recently, I'm gonna go a little off track for a second.
Go ahead.
Just recently, I was stopped by a cop in front of my place of employment that I just pulled up to. And he was looking for a suspicious person and kept interrogating me in the parking lot at 6:45 in the morning about why I was where I was at, fully in my work clothes that has the name of my business that I am in front of. Turns out he was looking for a suspicious white female.
But you're not white.
He was interrogating me
but you're
for being suspicious in the neighborhood. I ended up going home early. I was at work for maybe 15 minutes that day because I was crying.
Right.
Because I was a victim and I couldn't think. I froze.
Right.
Because I was terrified.
Right.
Terrified. And then at the end of it, he's like, well, I guess your shirt does say that you work here, so thanks, and drove away. This literally happened to me a couple weeks ago.
By somebody.
And my boss was like, well, why didn't you get his badge number? Why didn't you get his name?
For what?
I was fucking happy that I walked out without getting shot.
Right. Right.
I'm tired of being the victim. I don't want to be the victim. I want to fight.
Right.
And they're like, the riots and the protests, and you're kneeling the anthem. How unpatriotic. Have you fucking met America?
Let me throw this in.
We've done nothing but loot and be violent since our creation.
And let me talk to this. Let me hit something with this, Bree, since you brought that up. Somebody made a comment that I want to address. Lamar Harris, and I understand where he's coming from, being a fellow man of God. But here's the thing. He said, this is a war that we cannot fight with physical weapons. We as a people must fight the invisible enemy through spiritual weapons. I'm going to say this to him because I teach Be the Bridge, and I agree with you 100% on the spiritual aspect, but I need you to understand something, Lamar. Not everyone believes the same things we do. So we need human rights to be human rights for people, whether you believe in Christian, Jew, Muslim, Catholic, Pentecostal, Methodist, whatever your religious belief is. I need human rights to speak up for you, not just your spiritual beliefs. That's what we're trying to get across. Malcolm X even said it best. And I'm going to say what he said. He said, he said, we're meeting up here. He said, the white man doesn't care. He doesn't hang you because you're Baptist. He hangs you because you're black. He don't hang you because you're Catholic. He hang you because you're black. He said, if your religion ain't saved you, you might as well leave it at home anyway, because that's not going to save you if they hang you. And I am a man of God, and I believe in what I believe in the power of God, the power of Christ. I do. But at the same time, they're not hanging me because I believe in Christ. Not like they did the Jews and the Christians and all those original way back when. They're doing this because I'm a black man. They don't know if Breonna Taylor was saved or not. They don't know if her boyfriend was a Christian or not. They didn't care. It's a black man. And that's what we're trying to get across. Human rights matter. Human rights. And because we're not treated as humans, and we're desensitized, and people are desensitized to our death, our passion is looked at as if it's stupid, then what do? Everybody ain't Christian. Everybody ain't Muslim. But I know one thing on this panel, we all black.
So I realize that we live in a racial monopoly, meaning that there are so many things that are combined together or grouped together against us. That's from the places that we work, That's from places that we find entertainment from, the places we eat, etc. Even the places that we live.
Right.
If we are people of God and we are supposed to follow the law of the land, I do remember that being taught to me when I was growing up. If the law of the land is corrupt, how can you fault someone for going against the law of the land and trying to crucify them for not being a follower of God? Jesus, if we want to go there, Jesus was a felon. Jesus was a criminal. Jesus was a radical. That is why he was locked up, persecuted, and killed. Jesus did not lay silent. He did not follow, he led. But he led with purpose.
Right.
But he also followed when he needed to. So I say that to say that it's only to a certain point that following will get you as far as you're supposed to go. But we are entering into a new time in history that we are the generation that can no longer follow.
Right.
We have to lead. Now, how we lead is up to interpretation. If someone believes that they should follow their own teachings or follow the way that they have been raised, and that's on them. But I know it's going to come a time where you will have to choose a side. You will have to be on the side of truth and righteousness, or you will have to be on the side of being docile and following orders that are truly against you. So we live in a world that has truly found a way to group the right people together, to hold the power against the people that need it the most. And with all this going on, it just makes you think, when is the bubble going to burst? When is it going to be enough?
Here's the thing, JD. I like what you're saying. I'm going to jump to the next question, and it's going to be directed at Denney. So speaking of what JD just said, Denney, let me ask you a question. When you hear somebody say, I'm not racist, I have black friends, how do you feel?
To be honest, I've never actually heard it in the real world outside of your internet trolls and just people in movies and whatnot. For a lot of the racism and stuff, I feel like I've lived a sheltered life. I've never experienced racism. I grew up military background, so I grew up overseas. So my upbringing is a little different than I probably said a lot of y'all's. So like I said, I personally never experienced that. So I honestly have never really had a.
Well, if I told you that, hell, if I told you that, bro, I ain't racist. I got black friends. I just came to you and said that. How you gonna feel?
So as far as, I mean,
like I messed up and I'm a white guy or whatever, and I said the N word around you. You were like, excuse me? You're like, no, I'm not racist. I got black friends.
I mean, do you know the amount of number of black friends you got too? I mean,
that's the thing now. People are trying to say this now.
Can I add something onto the question? Just since you haven't had to experience this, and I grew up in white North Dakota, so that's all I've experienced. Let me add on a question. I had one black guy tell me one time that I could say the N-word, so it's okay.
Well, I mean, I actually had a conversation with one of my friends the other day about, if it's okay for, for someone a white person growing up in, say, the hood, all he knows is black people to say it. And he made a good point. I mean, and I'm gonna channel his thing. It's that word is not for them. That's our. I'll say we kind of made that our word. That's word is not for them. They have things they can do. Like, for instance, women can call other women, bitches in a friendly way. That don't make it right. I can't just go around, hey bitch, hey bitch, hey bitch. That word is for them over there. So I would same thing for white people. That's our word. Whether it's frowned upon or not, that's still something that we made for ourselves. I would say that we kind of put a spin on it for ourselves.
Interesting. CJ, how you feel about that?
So I kind of was feeling Denney, like, I haven't really had anybody who say that to me, so I kind of have two answers to this. It depends on the context. I have white friends. I'm not racist. Like I feel comfortable saying that because I'm not racist and I have white friends. So if a white person tells me, I mean, I'm not racist, I have black friends. Oh, okay, well, that's great. Now, it does depend on, like I say, the context. Now, if you just use the N-word or you just did something racist, I don't care if you was born in Africa, bro. You're racist. Like, it just is what it is. So it has all of, just about the context. But just because you have friends, like I would say, I'm not calling the person who y'all call 45. I'm not calling him racist, but a lot of people do, and he has plenty of black friends. And he does. He got a lot of black friends now. And you can say what your definition of black is, but he had people who look just like we do who call him friend. So I mean, so it's one way or the other. I feel like that. But I feel like that in some instances that is true, where I do have white friends, and we do have tough conversations. Like one of my great friends, he called me, man. We was on the phone crying together just about everything that's going on. And the way he was able to talk to me, now of course he wasn't saying the N-word, nothing crazy, but me and him is able to, go back and forth about somebody from the outside can look in and be like, whoa, wait a minute, man, you can't say that. You're right. Like, well, you don't know the situation, you don't know it. So it really depends on the context.
Interesting, because the comments are saying 45 is racist, and some people are saying he's friends with rich black people.
But either way, they're black. So he could say, I'm not racist, I have a black friend. But like I said, it's all about the context.
Right.
It's all about the context.
Because some people use that as a crutch to hide how they really feel by saying, I didn't mean it that way because I hang around black people, or I know this black person. They're doing it in a way that, and I've seen this a lot lately, they're doing it in a way that tries to justify why they talk the way they do about black people, because they feel like they know one of us, they know everything about us.
Oh, okay.
I mean, slave owners had black kids, still made them slave owners.
Well, Bree just went there.
Right. Yep, sure did. And we're gonna stay there too. Yo, listen. So for myself, I'm very conflicted on this word now as I go through my journey. So going through the history of trying to find out how this word came about, the term niggas for me sounds very close to negus, which is Ethiopian, which means to reign, which is synonymous, or which is, I can't even say the word right now, which is the same to me as king. Uh-huh. So it's interesting how they were able to turn that word into something that meant lower than the dirt itself. And also sagging, that's backwards for niggas as well. So there is power in the words, but going back to what CJ said, it's all about the context. And it just depends on what the person is trying, or what point the person is trying to get across. Because I've had someone tell me that, oh no, I have black friends, but they don't understand why black people feel the way that they feel.
That's why I'm getting it. Yeah. That's what I'm getting at.
So it's just that people have changed the meaning of black to like almost like a cosign. The term black means that, well, since I have black such and such, I'm able to have an opinion on black issues. I'm getting it. And having a conversation with someone that does not understand, not really what it means to be black, but understand what it means to be done wrong, then that's that wall. You can't get past it. Then you're just going to be going back and forth. You're just going to be arguing with someone random like you do on a post on Facebook.
Right.
So, I don't know. It really just depends. I try my best to not use the word as much as I use it, but it slips out because it's a part of my, it's a part of my lingo. So,
and the term that I try to stay way away from that term, only because of the simplicity of, I know that we always keep saying, and Nicole brought it up in the chat, going back to the Malcolm X ways. You got to understand, if we're going back to those ways, they did not like the negative connotation of these words. They hated them because they knew those words just 100 years before that were very degrading, and their grandparents were in slavery. So if we're going to really do this, and I love what Denney was honest about with it, and CJ was honest about the conversation he had, and what Bree said, because if we're going to be honest, if we're going to have these conversations about the Black Panthers and uniting as a party, we got to decide how we're going to treat each other. Because if we can't decide on how we're going to treat each other, then we're not going to be able to lead each other. Because somebody in this panel just talked about leadership. And the last thing you want is leaders that can't treat the people that's following them the right way. And what that's going to cause is distrust. It's going to cause chaos. And then we're going to break up like we did now. It's going to be like a whole waste of a million man march. It's going to be a million men marching for no reason, which keeps happening. That's another story. Anyway, I really want us to understand that question, and I have no problem being the only Black guy that's a friend of somebody that's white to a certain extent. I'm learning that sometimes it's good for me to have that person because they're able to talk to me about things they don't understand. And I can't look at them and expect them to understand everything it is about being Black, because they didn't. I like what Denney said. He didn't grow up around that environment. Even though he's Black, he didn't experience it. And so I can't fault him for his non-experience in areas that I have experienced. Instead, when he comes with questions or things that happen to him, I need to be able to get around him and help him through those situations instead of down him for not experiencing those situations. Because that's kind of what I'm getting at. That's why I asked that question. Can we be the only Black friend to our white friends?
I've been doing it my whole life.
I know you have. But yours by default.
It's doable. And they come, and most of them are like good intention, and they come at you with questions because they want to learn. I mean, you've met some of my friends. They're powerful, they stand with me, they're very strong. Sure. And then I have the other friends that I've been friends with for so long, and I'm like, but you don't see why that's not okay, stuff like that. So like, it's definitely in the context of the situation, which CJ brought up. It's definitely in the context.
Right. I think that's another thing that I'm getting at as well. I like what you said with that, Bree, because if we're the only one, then we have to realize, even being the only one, I'm not saying you're responsible for the Black race, because you're not. Everything cannot rest on your shoulders. Hear what I'm saying? What I'm saying is make sure you're open-minded to when questions happen, and they will, and tensions is going on. Like some of my Caucasian friends have texted me since the Breonna Taylor case came out, and I appreciate that. They're not saying they understand how I feel. They're just checking on me to see how I feel, how I am. And that's a big deal. Because that means you mean a lot to that person, and you're able to not just get through to them, but you're able to help them understand more what we're going through, not as a sympathy shoulder, but so they can understand I need to make sure that anybody I come in contact with, I treat them with just decent human rights. Because I have a friend that's Black that I know feels the trauma and the weight of the Black community when things happen, and I don't want to treat anybody negative. But somebody definitely did say some of us pride ourselves on being the only one, which is counterproductive. Just make sure you're not trying to be the only one and you speak for everybody Black, because that is counterproductive. LaConstance, you're absolutely right. I know people like that. I'm just saying.
Didn't Key and Peele do a skit like that where it was in like the singing group and the other Black guy showed up?
Yep.
Oh yeah, that was Jordan and Peele.
Yep.
That straight up competition.
Even in Lovecraft, if you haven't watched Lovecraft, that happened in the fourth episode where she knew that the Black girl was the only one that was hired in the department store of all white people. Yep. And so instead of understanding that, she tried everything she could to get her out of there because she wanted that job that she had. Don't be that person. Like, that's not the way this is intended to be. That's the Willie Lynch CJ always preaches about. He preaches about Willie Lynch for a reason, because we still allow that mentality to crab our mind. So speaking of that, going into the next question. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
No, so just since you brought up Lovecraft Country, that episode did make me mad with her, and it was something that I noticed. Like, it's like they put the dark skinned sisters against each other, but the fair skinned sisters all, she's off to everything, but they pitted the dark skinned sisters against each other.
Right.
Like,
that's most.
You have to read between the lines on that one.
I mean, we could start a whole nother conversation on the inter-racism within our own community.
You all have to. I'm not trying to be a spoiler alert, but if you haven't watched it, that episode is so powerful.
I'll watch it.
All I'm gonna say is you get to see where somebody feels like they are not accepted in their own skin, so they would take on somebody else's skin. But the analogy to that is when she shed that skin, it was so disgusting to show you how disgusting it is to walk in someone else's skin and it fall off. It wasn't a pretty sight. But just check out Lovecraft Country. I'm glad you all watched. CJ, get on.
I haven't watched it. I'll watch it.
This is seriously.
I'm sorry. I've been busy watching Drag Race. I don't know what you want from me. I'll watch Lovecraft. I'll watch it.
Please. So, and that moves to the next one. When you hear people say, and we've seen this, why are they praising a felon and a drug addict in George Floyd? He was just a convicted felon. When you hear that, CJ, how do you feel when you hear this man that started this whole movement with his death, seen by people are saying he's just a drug addict and a felon? Why are we praising him?
Well, my brother, that's a great question. And the first word that comes to mind when I hear George Floyd, regardless of what's acts behind that, but he's a martyr. He's a martyr because his death showed us 100%. Racism in its most raw, gruesome, brutal, and arrogant form.
Right.
George Floyd is a perfect martyr because he shows us that a Black person does not have to be perfect for his or her life to matter.
Right.
So for someone to come and tell me, oh, well, why are you worried about this? Why are you worried about that? Who are you to judge? No one walks this earth perfect. Like, let's be real. All have done something. And, unfortunately, when we get caught, we get the tougher of the punishments than it seems like the other half does.
Right.
What people does. But like he's a martyr to me, regardless of what you say, regardless of how you feel. And if you can't see it, you got to take a hard look in the mirror.
Wow. JD, how you feel about that? George Floyd.
People do anything to discredit the truth. People do anything that they can to make the truth a lie. And they'll do anything to make a lie the truth. So for me, is when I first heard about the whole situation about a Black man being killed, his name was George Floyd, I didn't look into it because it was more so of, damn, it's another one, right? But it kept showing up on my feed. And then when I watched it, that was the hardest 9 minutes I've ever watched in my life. Literally seeing someone plead and beg for their life, and someone that is just needing to breathe. He was calling out to his mother, which we found out that was dead. He was calling out to his mother. So it's just that people do anything that they can to make someone feel, or excuse me, people do anything that they can to make someone less than what they are, because it ties to something bigger than what they believe. So I don't know. I'm at a loss of words right now.
Denney, what do you feel about that when you hear about George Floyd? He was a criminal.
I feel the same way as JD was saying, man. Every race, they always try to find, I feel mostly white people, but they always try to find some way to discredit the overall issue. I mean, going back to a few years ago when the young Black lady was stabbed in Oakland, the first picture they put up was her holding a cell phone case that looked like a gun. Like, what's that got to do with anything? So it's like the media and just people are always trying to discredit what it is that's going on. I mean, at the end of the day, felon or not, he's still a human, and it's the cop's job to detain the situation, not kill. Their job is not. There's nowhere within their job to kill. They're supposed to detain first.
Right.
Detain, assess, detain, and killing is supposed to be the very last option. Out of all of these killings, none of them have been justified. But they'll always come with the facts that it's more white people. There's more white people that get killed versus Black people. At the end of the day, we're all humans, and the cops aren't supposed to be killing anybody.
Right.
So I feel overall, I feel the same way JD feels.
It's like, bro, they killing y'all too. What is wrong with y'all people? Like, can you not see?
It's different, bro.
Is it because
it's just different for them?
Us at a higher percentage is cool, but they killing y'all too. Bro, they just killed a little 13-year-old boy.
We should be marching together because of that. They killing y'all too.
But where's the All Lives Matter people at?
Nowhere. And that's what the comments were saying about, it's not the life that he lived. It's about the life that was taken away from him, his friends, and his family. Because remember, he was a father trying to figure out a way to take care of his daughters. That's all he was trying to do. Is why he even moved up there in the first place. That was it. Somebody else said, I ain't gonna repeat, tell me presidents, I ain't gonna repeat that one. I like what Miss Shirley said about it being painful. Because that's how you felt. When you saw it, when you see it, you felt the pain is what you felt. And to paint a picture, somebody said, Ms. Darkhearted said, to paint a picture of one less criminal on the streets. That's why they find and plant evidence on this criminal. Derek Dawson said, nobody understands Black people in the ghetto. They call us ghetto and leave it alone. And it's sad, but it's true. Like you all, and I wish Bree was here for this one because I could tell you exactly how I felt. I was mad, Bree was mad, and that's how our families met. Bree was the one that organized the Black Lives Matter event here in Minot for the memorial that we had for George Floyd on May 31st that weekend. It was Bree. Her and I hooked up that Friday with my wife and her. We hooked up, created something. We were out there Sunday afternoon. Oh, she's back. Good. That's how we met.
I didn't realize I disappeared. I'm sorry.
Oh, yes.
I'm here. I could hear you the whole time. I was looking at something.
Bree, I was telling them exactly how we met. This is how we felt when we heard about George Floyd. We were mad, upset, and we wanted something done. We want the people of Minot to know how upset and mad we were, but we also wanted them to know the life of George Floyd and how stupid and senseless it was for that man to be killed for any reason, especially a $20 bill. Go ahead, Bree. How'd you feel?
Well, I mean, it made me make a protest, which was the first protest that I'd seen in Minot ever in the entire time I lived here, which is my entire life. When I hear people talk about George Floyd as a criminal, I think about Brock Turner. Does everybody know who Brock Turner is? Here?
No, educate the people.
So Brock Turner was witnessed raping a woman in a back alley and then proceeded to not do any time. Well, I mean, he did a little bit.
He was that college student, right?
Yep.
Yes, the college student. So when he was convicted, the media was like, Brock Turner could have been this person. He could have been this athlete. He was this great student. But when white people get convicted of a crime, everyone talks about who they were and who they could have been in this positive, like, oh, it's a shame that he didn't get to go on to be this person. But when a Black person dies, it's, oh, this one time in 15 years ago, that person was in a room where another person that they didn't know smoked weed. They deserved it.
Right. Lynch him.
It doesn't make any sense.
Wow.
And I want to go into what you were saying is like the police are killing everybody. They're not just killing Black people, which is why I disappeared for a second. Please tell me if you can still hear me. Can you hear me?
You disappeared.
Yeah.
You can hear you though.
Okay, you can hear me, which is fine. So I'm gonna throw some numbers at you because I did some research.
It's okay. I love it.
From 1976 to 2018, a total of 1,491 people died from the death penalty. From the death penalty.
We lost you, Bree. Oh, there you are.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. So from 1976 to 2018, a total of 1,491 people died via the death penalty, legally sanctioned murder, right? In 2017, 23 people died from the death penalty in that year alone. In 2017, 1,147 people were killed by officers of the law.
Alone.
That's a ridiculous number.
Talk, Bree.
That's not Black people. That's not Latino people. That's people, humans who are being murdered in the streets. They're not getting the chance to go through the system that's supposed to protect us, innocent until proven guilty. That's not a thing. In 2017, 23 people were killed legally they went through the whole process.
Teach Bree.
23 people. But who didn't get to make it through the fucking process? 1,400 people were killed in the streets.
Teach.
That's everyone. So everyone who's like, all lives matter, but great, let me get you a sign. Come to my protest. Because all lives do matter. Right. You're right. And they're killing all of us.
All of us.
You know what the sickening part about it is? It's already sick, but the sickest part about it is we paying them people to do that.
Yep.
Yes.
They're public servants. We're literally paying them to kill us.
Right.
Here you go, take my money, kill me, and get off scot-free.
Right. Right.
You beat in high school, that's my fault.
Oh, and by the way, while I get off scot-free, the lawsuit the ones that pay for the cops, we got to foot the bill for, because the citizens, we got to foot the bill for that 12 million. That come from us, not the cops, but us.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Those 3 guys and their family should owe Breonna Taylor for the next 10 generations. I think that's fair.
It should that stuff should come out of the cops' pensions.
Yeah, but I need all of it.
Or they could go to jail.
That too.
Like they murdered someone.
Like the cop that's going for 12 years right now. He's going to jail.
You mean the black man?
He's going to jail.
Who shot in
The
Australia?
one that murdered the tourist?
Australian white woman.
The Australian woman, yeah.
$20 million.
$20 million.
They arrested that man that night.
That poor white blonde woman that was murdered, which tragic, horrible, awful.
Right.
But
Denney, we was talking earlier, that's what I meant.
There's a reason there's no.
They protect theirs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's the reason there's no protest in her name. Her murderer was convicted immediately.
Right.
Right. Yeah, there was definitely justice. And as soon as I heard about that case, it was like, this brother gone.
Yeah,
we ain't been waiting since March 23rd to get no conviction.
Them boys are like, open this case.
They look past that bag real quick. Welcome back to being just a regular black guy.
Down. Bree, thank you for those stats, because people need to get a reality of who's all dying and who's legally dying, who's dying illegally. People need to know. If you want to say all lives matter, that's actually the next question. What do you hear when you hear all lives matter? What y'all hear?
I'm going to say it goes once again kind of off of context. I mean, because yes, all lives do matter. But when I say Black Lives Matter, don't retort with all lives matter to try to deflect. It's not all lives, it's not all races that have to fear when a cop pulls up behind you. You don't know if you about to get stopped for God knows what. You don't know if your tail light out. You don't know, because it's Wednesday and the sun's out. You don't know if you about to catch one. So I have no problem with all lives matter, because yes, all lives do truly matter at the end of the day. But I don't like to hear it in a retort to me saying Black Lives Matter. It's like you're not understanding the point. You're trying to deflect or trying to put blinders on so that way you don't have to face what's truly going on or what we're talking about.
Right.
So I see it as a deflection tactic, but mostly it depends on the context.
When did we first hear about All Lives Matter? Do y'all know?
Yeah, when Black Lives Matter came out.
Right, 2014.
Absolutely. Didn't exist before that.
Why when we hear Save the Whales, it's not all aquatic creatures matter? Why when we say breast cancer awareness,
all aquatic mammals matter.
Right, but when we say breast cancer awareness,
what about the dolphins?
They don't say, no, all cancers matter.
Right.
This is my thing, and I like it for anybody who can't understand it. Imagine your house is on fire. You called
my favorite analogy.
My house is on fire, and the 911 send the fire department out to your home.
Hey, you better save my house too.
The fire department stops at every house on the way to your house. Every house that's in between your house and your house. So by the time they get to your house is burnt down. And you say, what took you so long? And the fire department looks at you and say, well, all houses matter. So we had to stop by each house and check. That makes absolutely no sense.
None.
Right now, we understand that all houses, all property, all that's well and good. Everything matters. But right now, our house is on fire. And
Right.
if you're not willing to help us come extinguish it, then, I mean, we can't look at you. If you're not helping us, you only hurting us at this point.
Right. Whew. Somebody else, all lives matter. Because I tell you what I think.
All lives matter.
Go ahead, JD.
All lives matter to me is tied to a rhetorical statement of human decency.
Mm-hmm.
That is just like the air that we breathe. You shouldn't have to tell somebody to breathe. Right. They just do it. Right. So for me to protest that all lives matter, I'm just stating the obvious for human decency. This goes back to just human rights, civil rights. We're still fighting for civil rights. It's just that anytime somebody states that all lives matter, it's always in response to Black Lives Matter. It's always in response to something to overshadow what has just been said. So it's not a problem until it's their problem. So when they use the term, and when I mean they, it's not just white people, it's people that don't believe in the Black Lives Matter movement.
Right.
So when people say all lives matter,
right,
it is simply a way for them to deflect and to not take the responsibility of understanding that this is your fight too. Because when it knocks on your door, that's when you're going to ask for help. That's when you're going to be in the streets protesting. That's when you're going to be trying to educate the people in your community. That's when you're going to try to push your agenda, but it's not your problem now, so you don't care. So you say all lives matter to simply say, well, you shouldn't be doing that because all lives matter. Because my life matters just as much as yours. Matters. Of course, everybody's lives matter. The hell you talking about?
Right.
So it's just that I don't agree with the all lives matter because it's petty and it's childish and it's immature and it's insensitive.
The definition, anybody know the definition of matter? The definition of matter is to be of importance or have significance. So put that in a sentence. Do all lives are all lives important and have significance? The answer we would say is, of course. But then we would think about it. Do all lives have significance and are all lives important? Because to say that means when I'm walking down the street and I see someone that needs help, I would automatically think that I would help them, right? But even those so-called people that say, well, I'm a Christian, that are throwing all lives matter against Black Lives Matter. I recall a story in the Bible of the Good Samaritan where the very people that probably were all lives matter people passed by this man that was wounded and didn't help him because guess what? He was of another race. He didn't look like them. He didn't sound like them. He was hurt on the ground and they didn't have time to food with him. It took someone and that was their own people supposed to be. It took a Samaritan of an opposite race to help a man that his own race wouldn't help. So if biblically people don't think of significance of other people, what makes you think people think that we're any significant? What makes you think people even care about what we look like and what we do? As long as you and I are over there minding our business and we don't mess with the suburban life of what people think that needs to be protected, then all lives are not significant. All lives do not matter to those people, because if they did, they would realize, you know what? I've treated people lower than me. I've treated people ugly. I've treated people insignificantly. And I'm going to say this. In order for all lives to matter, all lives have to matter to all people. You may not want to hear that, but that's the honest truth. Because if all lives don't matter to all people, then all lives don't matter. It's just something quick to say, not just rhetorical, but it's something to say to keep people demeaned, to keep people in their condition. Because I don't want you staying next to me, or it's white flight. I don't want you living next to me because y'all music too loud. I don't want you living down the street from me because you might try to get with my daughter or my son. I don't need that. You stay where you at, and I stay where I at. And I said I at because I know it sounds really bad again. That's why I said it. You stay where I at. Because this is the way that we're treated. We're not accepted and received everywhere. If my life mattered, you wouldn't follow me around Walmart.
I feel animals are treated better than us.
Right. Somebody said Michael Vick dogs got better justice than we did.
Michael Vick went to federal prison for some damn dogs.
Some people ran through the woods, everything to get them dogs up out of there. You hear me?
So real quick, Ernest, real quick.
You bring up Michael Vick and everybody has something to say.
Yo, listen, bro. So I was working at Walmart when everything went down with Michael Vick.
Right.
I was working at Walmart. I was in a sporting goods department.
Right.
So as soon as the news came out about Michael Vick being prosecuted, going to jail for dogfighting, there was literally a store meeting with all of the department heads. They said any merchandise that has anything to do with Michael Vick, throw it away. We were throwing away toys, footballs, clothes. I mean, everything. I was thinking about keeping it. I was like, man, I probably flip this. But they made sure that everything that was attached to him was thrown away. And look at the Falcons. But that's another story. I didn't mean to interrupt. Please continue.
So if you don't mind me asking, going off of the all lives matter, so how do y'all feel when people say, well, blue lives matter and all that?
I was gonna ask the same question.
Well, there's no such thing as a blue life.
Right.
I mean, you can choose that life.
That's what I'm saying, bro.
They don't fucking exist.
You don't.
No, there has to be a definition of what a blue life is.
Unless we talking about the Smurfs.
The chick from Fifth Element, her life mattered, and she still sacrificed her shit.
Good point.
What was Doug homeboy name on the list?
Skeeter.
That's a blue light.
Skeeter,
His life mattered.
What's the Sesame Street guy? The Grouch that ate cookies? Blue.
Grover. No, it's Grover. Oscar was in the trash can. Grover.
You're right.
It's fine. I work with kids. I know about that.
I'm sorry. Hey, did y'all know that's like one of the most racist shows out there?
Sesame Street?
Sesame Street, yeah.
Oh, I did hear some things, bro. It's deep.
What?
Yeah, it's deep.
I mean, they did the whole thing when the riots were happening. Don't ruin Sesame Street.
Can I mess up? Okay.
Ruin it.
Yeah, no, I want to hear this now. I want to hear this. I want to hear this.
I'm not going to mess up my. All I'm saying is there were certain aspects of certain nationalities of the reason why Oscar, which is a certain type of name, was in a trash can. There is a reason why Count Dracula was a pimp that counted his numbers, and he was of a certain ethnicity as well. There's a reason that I'm not trying to mess y'all up. Just go research the ethnicity behind Oscar.
Dracula were
perfect. Trash. I'm just throwing it out there for you. I'm not
We're gonna lose our Zoom for kind of
Anyway,
I forgot we
love Sesame Street. Tell me
this episode of The Speakeasy got off track. They went from Breonna Taylor to Oscar the Grouch.
Yeah, tell me how to get to Sesame Street. Last but not least, before we end the show, I really want to ask us this question because this has sat on me for the longest. With everything that's happened from Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, we know about Ahmaud Arbery, the young man in Atlanta that died at the Wendy's. We can keep going. But the last question I have for the panel is, why do we as Black people have to be humble while everybody else can fight for their freedom or their rights, but we have to be quiet?
Nobody wants to be the first to start. I am over being humble. I'm done. I think it's unacceptable that that's what is expected from us. I had commented to the scroll that I'm seeing about how they should be happy, feel lucky that we haven't burnt the entire country to the ground. Because based off of our history, based off of our past, based off of how we've been treated since we came here, our history's erased, our women raped, our men murdered. And we're just like, oh, it's fine. We'll keep picking cotton for you, master. It's fine. I'm done. I don't want to do it anymore. So we'll protest and we'll do this and we'll do that and we'll try to get our point across, and it won't matter. Because nothing has changed in the last 100 years. Nothing has changed since Martin Luther King was here and marching peacefully, protesting peacefully. Why can't you be more like Martin Luther King? Y'all killed him.
Y'all killed him too.
Y'all killed him. You don't like us kneeling for the anthem? We kneel after the anthem? Oh, fuck you. We're done. How dare you? So disrespectful.
Right. She's right. She's right.
What more do you want from us? We've done nothing but try and do it humbly, do it peacefully.
Let me jump in.
Like, let's just Katniss Everdeen this bitch. Set it on fire. None.
I want to jump in. Bree, you said it. You said 100 years ago. Still the same, right? Then you brought Martin Luther King up. So another great man was walking around that same time, Malcolm X. And Malcolm said, I don't favor violence. If we could bring about recognition and respect of our people by peaceful means, well and good. Everybody would like to reach his objectives peacefully. But also, I'm a realist. The only people in this country who are asked to be nonviolent are Black people. A lot of his teachings, I mean, you go back and listen to his stuff, but I mean, it's really, he's speaking to us right now, present day. The thing is, and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, he said something on the lines of this. I didn't get the exact quote, but he says he was asked by, I guess, a white lady, he was doing an interview, and she asked him something about, we're scared of y'all because y'all violent. And then he went into how violent white people have been, especially to our people. Then he says, the reason why you fear us is the evil that you show when you get violent. You know what you have done to my people.
Right.
You know what you have done to our ancestors.
Right.
You rule the day.
Right.
And we seek revenge. You're
right.
lucky, as Bree's saying, that we only want equality and to be left alone. We want what we owed, and we want to be left alone.
Just stop killing us.
Just stop killing us. That's what we want. But the reason why we cannot get to show any emotion is because they know what they have done to us, and they know what they got coming. So anytime we come off as the angry Black person, they just see that beast that they know is in them, and they're afraid that it's gonna come out of us.
Yeah, right. Absolutely, CJ. Yeah. Absolutely.
He's right. Denney, what you got?
I mean, it's tiring. It's tiring as a Black person in the United States of America. It's tiring. I mean, I know stuff goes on around the world, but I don't live in the world. I live in the United States, so I can only speak for what's going on in the United States. But for me, like I said, it's tiring, man. I mean, it's sad when, granted, we shouldn't feel like this, but those 2 officers who got shot in LA, it's like, I mean, the fact that
sad, horrible. Yeah.
Hopefully
and also, welcome to our fucking lives.
I mean, they created a whole blue alert, just like an amber alert, but it's a blue alert to alert you when police are in danger. What the shit? Like,
I want to thank Obama for that. Thank you.
Hey, I mean, hey, whoever did it.
No, seriously,
it's absolutely stupid.
It was Obama.
It's a 911 for the police.
Can we get a Negro alert so we can all just get called? Throw something up in the sky?
To stay in the
house?
We
gonna call it. It ain't Amber. What we gonna call it? What we gonna call it? Tyrell alert? I don't know. What we gonna call it?
The indigenous people of the Americas alert. That's what
minority alert. That's what we gonna call it.
Just
put a fist up in the sky and we'll all know where to go.
Stop that, man. Go ahead, Denney.
Just know to stay home. But yeah, I mean, it's just tiring. I mean, for like sometimes throughout the week, I have to unplug from social media, TV, everything, just because it's so much. You start to become desensitized to it. It's like, oh, another one. Well, that's just another one. It's so much. It's so much so fast, but it's been going on forever. It's just now, coming to light. Like I watched some old Def Jams from 1991. 99, I think 92. They all talking about, or But anyway, it was back in the 90s. I don't fully remember. But
Yeah.
you know, they all talking about, you know, Rodney King and the police whooping your ass. And you know, you listen to Richard Pryor, he talks about it. It's just crazy how black people have talked about the same thing throughout generation, and it still rings true to the day. It's crazy. And it's like you don't know what else to do change. You don't know how to bring change. They always tell you to vote, but you know, you're starting to lose faith in that. So it's just, I don't know, it's just, I don't know, it's almost like you're beating your head against the wall and you running out of answers. I mean, part of me is like, you know, violence might be the way. I hate to feel like that.
Bro,
Right.
You know, it's just.
But we keep, as a people, we keep taking the higher road.
Right.
That's what we do. It's what we've been doing. And weirdly, nothing has changed.
I mean, not to cast down on religion, but you know, we black people, we're quick to turn to religion, and you know, we say, you know, our Lord and Savior is going to take care of it.
Right.
But you know,
maybe we're supposed to help ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't know. I just don't know.
Bro, we got everything right here that we need to take over. We pump trillions of dollars into the industry, just us.
But what has happened to our mind that where I understand the Willie Lynch because I've read that letter. I get it. But in 2020, are we still pulling from that to where we can't unionize? Seriously? Do we really not like each other? I can't believe that black people don't like each other like that.
I mean, for instance, I had a conversation.
I think the biggest thing with us is when it comes, and I got this from Dr. Umar, I can't even lie, but black people don't like to struggle alone. Like, we don't like to struggle alone. Whenever there's a problem, we want everybody and their mama to help us out with our problem. Like, I hate to say it, but hey, Mr. White Man, can you help me? Hey, Mr. You know, Asian man, can you help me? We don't want to deal with our own problems with our own people. Like, we rather assimilate and like even Martin Luther King told y'all, he said, I feel that I've integrated my people into a burning house, burning bit. Like
it's a form of evolution.
Until we get, listen, we gotta, like, I even say, let's start small. If we could figure out a way to take half of the money that we put, half, and just keep it in our own communities, we like, if we could figure that out, it'll be like a reparations check for everybody, and that's just half. Imagine if we came together and said, a dime won't go to X, Y, and Z unless you're doing X, Y, and Z for us. Imagine if we just something that small with our money. Imagine if black people could just pool $20 per family, $20 per house, and we say this money is gonna go to people. Just something small like that. But like, again, we don't want to struggle alone. We want to have everybody invade. And then
you said something, bro.
Integrating other people into your movement, no longer a black movement. It's a everybody movement. It's an all lives movement.
Right.
It's a moral movement.
JD, what you got? That's too. Jeez.
The black dollar is the most spent dollar outside of any community on the face of this planet. The black dollar flips 0 to 1 time before it exits the community. The word humble, we have been taught that word throughout our lives because black people are known to be a very religious, loving, giving people. We will give you the shirt off our back.
We will.
Because we know that this is what God would want us to do. And also this is what we will want to do to help. So the word humble, it also resonates with lowly. Now, looking at the definition of humble, I didn't know this until a week or so ago. And I was looking it up just to make sure I got this correct so I could tie it in. There's another definition for humble. It means of low social, administrative, or political rank. Think about that. Political rank, low political rank. Anytime that they want people to vote, they cater to the black community because they know that we have the lowest political rank. Follow me here. People say we have to vote. And we do have to vote, but we have no power. We have no power. We have no money. Economics is king. You have to think about this. Think about the 1%ers. I would say, and this is me being generous, 9 out of 10 of the 1%ers are white. That's just speaking facts.
100%.
We'll say they are black or
Right.
something else, but 9 out of 10 are white. So if
Correct.
these 1%ers choose a candidate,
Y'all better listen.
whether it's local, state, or federal, that they want to support, guess what that candidate is going to do? That candidate is going to push the objective of that
Of those
supporter.
rich. Right.
So
Right.
the power of the vote of that 1%er outweighs an entire community.
Yeah.
So us getting out in droves and voting, that is going to work, but it goes back to the community. Going back to what CJ said, what are we doing in our communities to make sure that we uplift and build? Because if we build our communities, then no one can tell us who we need to vote for, because we're going to prop up who we want in office. So it's just that one of the things that people don't, or excuse me, one of the followers people don't follow is Dr. Claude Anderson. Dr. Claude Anderson has been on the wave since the 1960s. He was a part of the Affirmative Action Bill. He was a part of President Carter's administration. He's wrote several bills for reparations. The list goes on. Powernomics is where we need to be. If we don't understand as a community that whatever petty differences that we have been taught to push upon our people, and that pushes us away, that will keep us in the same spot that we are in. And this is going to pass over into the next generation of our children.
Right.
So it all ties back into the community. What are we doing in our communities as far as supporting your Black businesses, your Black politicians, your Black anything? Like, what are you doing in your communities? And it starts with me. I'm not doing everything that I'm supposed to do, but I'm starting somewhere. And I think that's what people need to see.
Can I ask you a question? If we were to do that, we were all to stand behind a certain figure, do you think that we could still be successful in the system as it is now?
No, because even if we have a politician that is uplifted to what we want him to be or her, it doesn't matter if it's Biden or Harris. If they live in this system, if they operate in this system, then this system will not uplift the liberation of Black people.
Thank you.
It is not the politics. Well, it's part of the politicians, but it's the system.
It's the system. It's broken.
So how can we
like talking like this
change
I sound like
the
a radical.
system if we don't have the
It's
power
not
to change
radical.
the system?
Oh, okay, but listen, this is my thing again.
That's a good question.
We need to have our own system. Think about this, right? Asians have the lowest voter turnout of all people. Asians ain't worried about who the president is, who the governor, the mayor.
Hit us with
they
that.
Don't care about none of that. All they doing is worried
cares?
about them. Do you understand me? They keep their money together and they work together. They could care less about who running this thing,
regardless of the system.
Regardless of the system. That's why I preach so heavily about it. And I wish I had answers. But we need our own system.
Right.
Do you think that would be different if they were being targeted by the system?
Good point.
Yeah.
Because they're not affected by some of the things that we're affected by. Like, for instance, I think about the Hispanics who do pull their money together, but they're affected so much by deportation. It's a huge blinder for them. The Black people, when we do pull our money together, like we've seen with Black Wall Street in North Carolina, but we're targeted by people of hate. Seriously, I need to have somebody Asian on the show, because I want to know how are they able to pull their money together but not be affected by the system as it is? What are they doing?
They don't talk about it.
Actually, a good friend of mine, and I actually got to call this brother. I haven't talked to him in so long, but we worked for AT&T together, Asian guy, and he told me, and I might mess up the word, but he called us waterfall people, and I said, "What's waterfall?" And he says, "Well, in our culture, when we think of Black people, like you all get money in your hand, and it's like your hands are waterfall, it just falls right out." And he says, like, in our community, we take care of each other. Like he says, it's expected, like, for once your parents reach a certain age, they move in with you. And you take care of your family. You take care of your family, like the people, they all live together. Like how he says, well, CJ, we got 6 brothers, and one brother pays this bill for everybody. Like one brother takes care of the insurance for the family. The other brother takes care of the cell phone bill. The other brother does this. The other brother does that. And they just like work together. And he was like, you know, when I tell people that, you know, they look at me like I'm crazy. Like he was like, it's 6 guys and we all got access to one bank account. We all.
But it seems like you're telling us to turn back to our history of where we came from, because it seems like we were doing that before we were pulled over here. Right, I felt like we were taking care of each other.
Bro, we bought. I mean, look back, even when we was in Africa, the original people, like you had all these different tribes, all these different people, and they didn't necessarily get along, but they respected each other because they knew, you know, in this part of the land you got the rice, in this part you got the beans, in this part you got the silk, in this part you got the cotton. So we all had to work together, whatnot. We kind of just got lost in the sauce when we came over here, and that almighty dollar got put in our face.
Right.
Denney, what you think about that?
Oh no, when you used to say lost in the sauce and the almighty dollar, for some reason it just made me think about just crack and how that really destroyed a part of the Black community as well.
Right.
Totally random, but I don't know, for some reason that popped in my head.
It's not that random.
Oh, okay.
Right. I mean,
it's not.
I think what you all have brought to the table tonight, before we close out in the next minute, I think everybody, when we talked about when you hear, you all brought to the table not just your experience, but what you've seen. And for me, this question resonates with, well, when I see the humility part, I love what JD was talking about with humility. But the reason we're like that is because we don't want to see anybody else struggle. We really don't have in our heart to look at other people struggle, because that's why we'll give somebody something. But at the same time, I think about what CJ said about integration. I sometimes believe, and I struggle with that myself, I think integration was a big mistake. I think having our own is what we're supposed to always have. And I don't think, and I've said this before, when Betsy Ross took needle and thread to this flag that was supposed to represent all of us, I don't think
it wasn't.
They had us in mind. I don't think they were thinking about us as Black people because we were still slaves. And I'll tell you why I don't think that, because I read on this show before when they had Benjamin Franklin speak at Independence Day on a July 5th, he was saying, this freedom isn't for me. Why do you have me speaking at Independence Day? We still slaves. What do you mean? What this is not my freedom. You want me to jump and shout for joy with you for Independence Day with some fireworks when we ain't even free? So I think
this is the only day Black people are allowed to eat vanilla ice cream.
Right, but the only day.
And we doggone perfected it turning white.
Right. We made ice cream.
So what I think about with the humility is this, before we close. Y'all know what catcalling is?
Yeah.
You know what catcalling is? So for the viewers that don't know what catcalling is, it's when they laid you down and they took a cat and drug a cat from the top of your shoulder down your back. And then they drag the cat back up. Now, you know when you drag a cat, it's going to dig its claws or whatever you're dragging. And then they would put salt and pepper and hot tea on your back. And they would do it again and again and again. But we have to be humble.
You do it till you pass out.
Do you know what they would do to somebody that was caught stealing pork? What they would do is they would take the pork or whatever you stole, boil it, and make you eat it until your stomach busts to teach you to never steal again. So not only when you eat it, they'll keep force feeding you and force feeding and force feeding you. You would throw up and they keep force feeding you. Do you know what happened when slaves tried to starve themselves from eating to get back at the master? They would tie your hands up, tie your neck up, put a funnel in your mouth and force feed you. And if you clamp down, they would bust your teeth out and force feed you the food. But I'm supposed to be humble.
Right.
I had somebody say to me the other day, well, none of these things physically have ever happened to you, so it should not affect you today as it did your ancestors. And I said this to this person, I don't even know my real name. I don't even know where I came from.
Thank you.
So it has affected me because you can trace back your family history. I can't. I still struggle a lot with my own identity because I don't even know who my forefathers are.
You don't even know if you came from Africa.
I don't even know where I came from. I don't even know. I could be the half child of somebody from way back when that was one of Thomas Jefferson's descendants. I have no idea. But what I do know is you keep telling me I shouldn't worry about something and I should be humble, but yet you can do things to my community anytime you want to. and I'm supposed to take your hand and walk away in the sunset with you as if I deserve what you did to me.
Right.
Y'all, this is the toughest part of our lives right now. We're going to have to figure out together, collectively, not individually, how to take care of our households and our families. I'm glad Denney, CJ, John, and Bree is on this show tonight with me, and all the lawyers that are watching. The solution that I gathered from this, let's take care of each other. I know they want to see us beefing like the Willie Lynch letter. Let's choose not to beef. They want to see us fighting and arguing and bickering and never standing together. Let's choose to stand together. And let's stop telling people how we should protest. Let's let people stop telling us how we should stand up for our rights, how we should kneel or stand or pledge or not. Let's stop doing that and choose our own agendas and our own rules and our own things that are going to help our community, because nobody's going to help us but us. Nobody's going to care about us but us. And Breonna Taylor was a prime example of that. If an apartment wall is cared about more than a life, then you know nobody's going to care about us but us. Now, there are people that are white that I really do appreciate, that try to bond with us, that help us, that are there for us, and that really, really care about us. And I will never look down at you because I appreciate what you're doing in this struggle, in this fight with us. But I will say this, we have to care for us, because Breonna Taylor could have been me and it could have been you. But because it's not, we have to treat every day as if we are living her memory. I appreciate every one of you all. And Black Lives Matter. They always have, and they always will. Thank you, loyals. Thank you, panel. We are out. We will see y'all next time. Peace out.